Just imagine a house where whatever you wish for becomes true instantly. But it's difficult to even imagine how frightening and terrifying this power could be. At the beginning of the story, we are introduced to a couple named Jane and Matt. They had just moved into a new house. Jane and Matt frequently moved to new houses due to their work. Matt was a local painter who earned money by selling his paintings. They loved each other very much. As they were cleaning their new home, Matt noticed a strange mark on the wall, as if something was hidden behind it. So, Jane and Matt decided to investigate by unlocking the wall. The place was completely covered with wires, and it was hard to figure out what it was. Suddenly, the lights in the whole house started flickering on and off, and the electricity system was malfunctioning due to a short circuit. After some fear, Matt went to call an electrician. The electrician arrived and started checking the room. The whole room was filled with strange wiring and spooky structures on the walls. Despite thorough examination, the electrician couldn't fix the problem and eventually left. However, the electrician told Matt something important. The first occupants of this house had been murdered suddenly one day, and since then, the house had been unoccupied. Matt began to understand why he had gotten the house at such a low price. He wanted to find out who was murdered. After extensive searching, Matt found a news report stating that 20 years ago, a couple had lived here and was brutally killed by an unknown man. Although the man was caught, his mental condition was extremely poor, so he was sent to a mental hospital where he remained imprisoned. Matt, frustrated by all these revelations, decided to go into an unknown room and work on some of his paintings. He also became very frustrated with everything that was happening. After sitting in the bedroom for a while, he felt like having another drink. Just then, the lights in the room started flickering on and off again. A little while later, when I looked in front of me, there was another bottle of drink next to him. I was shocked because I had no idea where the bottle had come from. However, I realized that this room was not a normal room. When Jane and Matt came looking for the room, they found it filled with expensive paintings. In fact, Matt had used the room to fulfill special requests and had filled it with costly paintings. He explained to Jane that this was no ordinary room, and anything special you asked for in this room would become real. Although Jane was initially skeptical, he asked for $1,000 to try it out. Once again, the lights started flickering on and off. Seeing this, Jane's eyes widened because he had $1,000, and now that the truth was revealed, they both began asking for different things from the room. They requested various expensive items, enjoying the room's capabilities to fulfill their desires. With so many valuable things, they had essentially left their problems behind and were having a great time. They could fulfill any special request and even experience zero gravity, like astronauts, enjoying their time like a couple from a Hollywood movie. After a while, Matt suggested planning for a baby again, but Jane flatly refused. The last time, both of Jane's children had died in the womb before they were born, and Jane did not want to go through that again. This led to a heated argument between them. Jane was so frustrated that she directly went into the unknown room and started making special requests. When Matt came home, he saw Jane holding a small baby. Jane had requested this baby using the room's capabilities, and the baby was crying a lot. It was clear that this baby was not theirs, but Jane insisted that it was her own child. They fought a lot over this, and in his anger, Matt went directly to the mental hospital. Matt went to the mental hospital where the killer was kept and questioned him. The killer told him to get out of the house as soon as possible. After that, the killer did not provide any more information. Matt was completely confused. He was refueling his car when he went to pay, but when he reached into his wallet, he found no money. The money had mysteriously transformed into a blank piece of paper. Matt began to suspect something was wrong. He hurriedly returned home and threw a lot of money onto the floor. As soon as the money touched the ground, it transformed into blank paper. To confirm his doubts, Matt left part of a painting partially outside. Overnight, the part of the painting that was outside got completely ruined. Matt realized that anything requested from the room was only valid inside the house and would be destroyed if taken outside. He immediately went into the room to check all the walls, which were also covered with strange wiring. Matt was unsure about what to do next. Meanwhile, Jane wanted to take her baby outside. Although Matt knew that if the baby was taken outside, it would be destroyed. He couldn't stop Jane for some reason. When Jane went outside with the baby, it started crying intensely. The baby's body gradually began to deteriorate. Matt, seeing this from inside the house, couldn't bear the baby's cries. He immediately ran to Jane and brought the baby back into the house. However, by now the baby had grown into a 7-year-old child. Matt realized that if any living thing was taken outside, it would deteriorate rapidly and eventually perish. Jane had started raising the child and seemed not to realize that she had created her son by wishing for him. She took care of him and did not let him leave the house. Even though the child frequently insisted on going outside, Jane told him that he had a sickness that prevented him from doing so. And if you go outside, John will catch you, Jane warned. After meeting their son, a rift began to form between Jane and Matt. Matt went to another room, while Jane spent all her time with their son. One night, the boy wandered into the room where special requests were fulfilled and saw everything there. He spent the entire night in that room, noticing the lights flickering on and off, which indicated that he was making special requests of his own. The next day, when Jane and Matt searched for him, they found that the room had been transformed into a snowy landscape, created from the boy's imagination and brought to life by the room. Jane didn't scold her son at all for this. Instead, she started playing with him. However, Matt found this situation unacceptable and took Jane's son back to their home, unable to understand why he was doing this. This led to a major argument between them. Suddenly, Matt began to bleed, a result of the killer's actions at the mental hospital. The killer revealed that many years ago, a couple had lived in that house and had also made many requests from the room, including a child. They didn't let their child leave the house either. Eventually, the child realized that to get out, they would have to kill their mother and grandfather. After a lot of time, the girl ended up killing her own parents. Matt was shocked to learn that the child was none other than the killer, who was now in the mental hospital. The killer warned Matt that his son would do the same and that if they wanted to leave the house safely, they would have to eliminate both of them. After hearing this, Matt began to plan their escape. However, Jane also heard all of this through another phone and couldn't believe it. Jane was in utter frustration and left the house, unable to understand what was happening in her life. Back at home, the boy became increasingly agitated, wanting to be with his mother, Jane. He threw things around in a fit of rage. Meanwhile, Matt was very angry with Jane for not understanding the gravity of the situation. Jane immediately fled to save her life. The other man had used the magical room to alter his appearance to look like Matt and now wanted to be physically intimate with Jane. Meanwhile, the real Matt woke up and began searching for Jane. He tried desperately to navigate through the magical room, but all the paths were blocked. Eventually, he broke through a wall and escaped from the house. Matt realized that the other man had created a duplicate house inside the real house, which looked exactly like theirs. Matt hurriedly reached the duplicate house and found himself face to face with two Matts. Jane was confused about which one was the real Matt. However, when Jane called her son by name, the imposter Matt responded, revealing his true identity. Jane immediately pushed the fake Matt away. The real Matt quickly fled from the house, but the imposter continued to block all the exits. Jane and Matt managed to force the fake Matt out of the house. They ran back to their original room, but the imposter wouldn't stop chasing them. Matt then devised a plan to defeat the imposter. He stood near a door in the real room, and Jane and Matt provoked the imposter to attack. As soon as the imposter attacked Matt, Matt dragged him outside through the door. Jane, who was inside, quickly locked the door from the inside. The imposter began to burn from being outside, and his transformation into ashes happened within seconds. Jane and Matt breathed a sigh of relief. They decided never to stay in that house again and moved to a hotel. Thus, our story concludes here.